Southern California Equity. They don't operate like your standard old school property company. Instead, they run this thing like a sleek, high-performance machine. It's engineered, and I mean perfectly engineered, not just to make a quick buck, but to actually create a lasting legacy, to deliver real, tangible value. And let's be honest, in an industry as old as buildings themselves, trying to innovate in a way that builds something permanent, that is a massive challenge. But we're going to break down exactly how they're using strategy, a really unique philosophy, and some absolutely groundbreaking tech to completely transform their space.
Now, before you can build any kind of machine, you gotta have a blueprint, right? And this team's blueprint sits on a foundation that is honestly pretty staggering. Nearly $7.5 billion. That's $7.5 billion worth of repositioned assets. It's an enormous scale of transformation. And look, that kind of scale, it just doesn't happen by accident. It comes from deep, deep experience. We're talking over 200 unique transactions across every kind of market cycle you can imagine. The good, the bad, and the totally unpredictable. It's exactly this deep history that lets them see patterns and spot the kind of hidden opportunities that most conventional investors are just going to fly right past.
Okay, part 1, the AI Copilot engine. This is where tech meets process.
Just imagine this for a second. What if your absolute best expert, like your #1 star player, could be sitting in every single meeting, analyzing every single deal all at the exact same time? It sounds impossible, right? But to make this a reality, they actually built an AI copilot. It literally digitizes an expert's intuition and their decision-making process. They are effectively cloning genius so they can scale it seamlessly across the entire organization. It's absolutely wild when you think about it. Okay, let's really dive into this because the contrast here is exactly why this is such a game changer. In the old traditional model of real estate, if a key executive leaves, well, all of that priceless, hard-earned gut instinct, it just walks right out the front door with them. It's a massive single point of failure. But with this new AI copilot model, the knowledge stays put. It creates what they call knowledge continuity. The firm's memory, their instincts, they aren't just trapped in a couple of people's heads anymore. They are baked directly into the system. It's the ultimate insurance policy. It turns raw experience into a highly scalable corporate asset. Moving on to part 2, the 3-step playbook. Predictable science. See, for them, value creation is no longer some chaotic, unpredictable art project. It is broken down into 3 incredibly distinct surgical sprints. First up, you have the diagnostic phase, which is all about hunting down the absolute ideal opportunity. Second is planning, where they sit down and map out precisely how to hack the value. And third is execution. That's the actual physical transformation of the property. Let's break down exactly how these 3 phases work in their system. The whole thing kicks off with the ATS, that stands for Acquisition Targeting System. You can think of this as another digital co-pilot, kind of acting like a vast, super smart library of collective deal-making experience. It sifts through the market at lightning speed to find very specific opportunities that match their surgically precise criteria. They are specifically hunting in these high-growth, innovation-led cities, places where talent and capital are just pouring in. And they focus right on the middle market. It's this brilliant sweet spot, roughly between $15 million and $50 million. It's too big for your average mom-and-pop investors, but honestly, it's too small to move the needle for those massive institutional giants. By targeting these underperforming properties that require a ton of hard work, they effectively minimize their competition right out of the gate. That brings us to part 3, hacking the value, bringing order to the chaos.
Now, what's really interesting about this phase is the accelerated appreciation algorithm, or the AAA. The whole goal of this step is to unlock hidden value entirely on paper. Seriously, we aren't talking about swinging hammers or pouring any concrete just yet. This is all about doing the groundwork, securing city approvals for a better use of the property, or maybe completely redesigning the floor plan so you get more rentable space. By doing this up front, they are creating a massive amount of value and taking a huge amount of risk completely off the table before a single wall even comes down. Which leads us to the final output, the Deep Repositioning Method, or DRM. Now, this is the physical build-out, but notice something important here. They are not building from scratch. This entire strategy leans heavily on adaptive reuse. They take these existing, overlooked, totally unloved assets, like, say, an old, dusty, empty warehouse, and they physically transform them into modern, low-carbon, premium green workspaces. Because let's face it, as companies start mandating a return to the office, workers aren't exactly jumping for joy to go back to some dreary cubicle farm under flickering fluorescent lights, right? They demand a space that feels premium, something green and modern, a real business tool that companies can use to attract top-tier talent. And this machine delivers exactly that.
and this brilliantly illustrates what they are really going for. The ultimate goal of this deep repositioning is to completely maximize the net operating income. They're aiming to effectively double the current rental rates of the property. Just think about that. They are unlocking incredible financial value that was literally just sitting there, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the right machine to come along and extract it. But to keep an engine like this running smoothly and actually hitting those numbers, they rely heavily on vertical integration. That's just a fancy way of saying total in-house control. From managing the money and handling the acquisitions all the way through to the architecture, the development, and even leasing the property up, the whole shebang is handled by their own tightly synchronized teams. By cutting out those annoying third-party delays, they minimize their risk, they dictate the exact pace of execution, and they leave absolutely nothing to chance. Let's move to part 4, hunting the complexity premium. They call it the complexity premium, and honestly, I love this definition. It's essentially a hidden treasure chest that's locked away inside real estate deals that are just too messy, too difficult, or frankly require way too much hands-on work for standard investors. You see, the conventional way of investing is often just relying on fancy financial maneuvering, or honestly, just sitting back and hoping the market magically goes up. Their model is the polar opposite of that. They are actively and operationally creating value by taking on the complex, nitty-gritty work that lazy investors just run away from. So the crucial point is, why does this matter right now? Well, because this machine is currently operating with 4 massive tailwinds at its back. First off, the tech boom is driving this intense demand for highly specialized space. Second, there is a major flight to quality. Companies will gladly pay a premium for top-tier, environmentally green buildings. Third, those return-to-office mandates are officially bringing the workforce back. And finally, we're seeing a historic reset in property values, which means you can acquire these assets at a much, much better price point. When you stack all 4 of those together, it is pretty clear this system is tailor-made for this exact moment in the market. So let's tie this all together. To summarize everything we've covered in this explainer today, there are 4 core pillars holding up this entire blueprint. You've got technology, which scales that expert genius, integration, which provides total in-house control, a precise niche focus to hunt down that complexity premium, and pure systemization, turning what used to be a completely unpredictable art form into repeatable, predictable success. And finally, part 5, the ultimate timing question: when to act. If you look back at history, the absolute best times to invest are almost always when things feel the most uncertain. Long before everyone else feels safe and finally jumps on the bandwagon. So it leaves us with this final thought-provoking question, especially in a volatile market like the one we're in today. Is the biggest risk actually rolling up your sleeves and doing something? Or is it waiting around on the sidelines for an all-clear sign that might never actually show up? It's a pretty powerful thought to chew on as you rethink your own strategies.